Raina here. We are back for our second Q&A video. Our first one kind of went a little long because I had some long questions and I was long-winded. It's hard, man. It's hard. This is like, I'm the queen of run-on sentences. If you ever see me post on the internet, I post like giant paragraphs, and that's because that's how my brain works. Please like and subscribe. Click the little bell so you can get notified. Definitely, if you want some premium content, check me out on patreon.com/RainaMermaid. For as little as $2 a month, you can get tons of exclusive content and merch. And it's because of patrons like you that I am able to make this video with my new lapel mic, which is awesome. So we're heading back into Raina the Mermaid C-Fan group for my Q&A. So we've got some more questions here. Shauna would like to know, what is the hardest thing about the job for you or the ladies in your pod to deal with that can also be a positive thing? I can't think of anything off the top of my head that is both negative and positive, oxymoronic, but I can tell you some of the other negative things. I think I've done a video that's like the top 10 hard things about being a mermaid. Definitely the foot blisters are a big deal. Depending on the monofin or the tail that you're using, you can get them pretty quickly, and it really, really sucks to have to continue your gig knowing that you are just rubbing the skin raw off the top of your feet. You can wear booties, but sometimes it's not enough. The friction is just so bad. It sucks. Also, getting foot cramps is really brutal because you can't really do anything about it, and even trying to point your toes and stretch them in the costume can be really difficult. And also, one thing I had happen a few times earlier on, I'd say like 3 or 4 years ago, is that I would tear my waistline sometimes at gigs because it had just been really fragile, and I've since had it replaced, and I haven't had it tear once in 2 years because it's been replaced with like a stronger material. But early on, like I went to do a media interview and we were filming, and it tore all the way down from the top of the waist down to the scales, and I had to like tie a scarf around it that was actually just like a kid's mermaid tail, but I made it look like a scarf to make it look like a belt so I could get through the filming, and it really sucked because I knew the whole time that I was swimming with this tear, and I was terrified it was gonna ruin my tail. So I think those are some of the big ones. Definitely merverts are the worst, but she already mentioned that. What other questions we have here? Lou would like to know, how do you balance a human job, mermaid gigs, being a boss, and having a relationship? It's really hard. I have worked full-time as a mermaid multiple times in the past 10 years, sometimes just because I couldn't get work. I live in an area that is a lot of underemployment, a lot of unemployment. It can be really difficult to get reliable employment. So there were just different times in my life where I couldn't get jobs in my chosen field, so I had no choice but to work full-time as a mermaid. And then there were other times where I'm like, okay, I'm burnt out from real life. I've got some savings. I've got lots of gigs lined up, so I'm just going to be full-time mermaid. So a year ago, I made the decision to go back to work full-time, which was not an easy decision to make. I was really enjoying being a mermaid. But when you only rely on the arts for your income, it's peaks and valleys. You can have tons of work and then no work, tons of work and then no work. So every time you have tons of work, you're like squirreling away your money so that when you have those low times, you can cruise through them. And all of your financial emergencies like to happen during your low times. Like you go down and then your car dies, and then you go down and you need dental work, and then you go down and your cat needs surgery. Like that's just literally how it happens. And when you are working full-time like that, you feel like you can't say no because you know you need the money. So sometimes you take really crappy gigs that you wouldn't normally take, or really rude clients, or discounted prices that you wouldn't normally do because you're just desperate to make sure you have that income coming in. The other thing is I didn't have medical insurance because I have pre-existing conditions. So without getting that through a daytime job, it's really difficult for me to get my own private medical insurance. So my medication was super expensive, and I was going into debt just from my medication and from needing to like see the chiropractor. I got in a car accident, had a concussion. There was all this really bad stuff that happened. And then we've talked about it in other videos before, but Sean's mom got Alzheimer's dementia, and we really needed the freedom to be able to drop everything and go help take care of her. And our work offered that because you have vacation, you have sick days, you have personal time, you can make up the hours and that kind of thing. But I can't cancel a mermaid gig to go do something like that. I really just needed some more stability in my life. Also, the last time I was a full-time mermaid, we lost our biggest venue. They closed for some renovations, and they were closed much longer than anticipated, a year and a half. And that really killed our bookings. We got a lot of new bookings, we really hustled, we really did our best, but we relied on that venue for our off season, and that was how we paid insurance for the company and kept the, we didn't make a ton of money during the off season, but we made enough because of that venue to keep things coasting. And we lost that venue. And if I didn't go back to work full time, I would not have been able to keep my company going because I had to personally pay because of that deficit. And then it's funny because once you make these life changes and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go and do this full time, that's when all these crazy things happen. That's when you land these giant gigs. That's when you get awards and you get money with the awards. And that's when your movie comes out and you get tons of publicity. So it was insane trying to juggle that with my full-time job. And it was like, if those things had only happened a few months earlier, I wouldn't have had to go take a job because it would have evened out. But, you can never predict when that's going to happen. That being said, I absolutely love my day job. I train pilots. I'm an instructional designer, so I build all of the courses that the pilots have to take and all of the assessments that they have to take, and I integrate simulation technology. So typically it's VR, virtual reality. Sometimes it's sort of like video game style, sitting at a computer, but it's often virtual reality. And so far I've done a lot of focus on military search and rescue, which really makes me feel like I'm making a difference. My business is amazing. They're extremely supportive of my mermaid stuff. They even give me paid time off to volunteer through my mermaid company so I can keep doing volunteer bookings, which is awesome. They let me take time off for stuff. My project manager came to see my film with his wife, which was amazing. Our CEO is always congratulating me on stuff. Our chief financial officer, he's always cracking jokes. Our chief technology officer at the Christmas party this year, he told everybody that there were no merverts allowed at the company. And my desk is like all mermaids and everything. And it makes a difference enjoying the work that you do. If you have to be bogged down with tons of stuff, it really makes a difference enjoying it. And I really love it. It's really awesome work. And to be completely honest, because I'm totally a crazy person, I would love to get my master's of education in technology because I just find this work so fascinating, and I think it's the wave of the future, and I think it's really going to tap into helping people with special needs as well, because you can put on a VR headset and all of a sudden you're in Paris. You can put on a VR headset and you are the size of a molecule and you are learning about scientific equations at the molecule level. You can go inside a whale. You can in our instances, we're teaching people how to rescue people who are drowning at sea or in a fire or something. We're making a huge difference, and I love it. And it's just amazing technology. So yeah, juggling. So I've got the full-time job. I do all the mermaid work. We care for Sean's mother. I'm helping my sisters out a lot who have stuff. I have my own chronic illness issues. I used to do a lot of music. I don't really have time for that anymore, but every once in a while my friends do steal me away to an open mic or karaoke or something. I basically never ever stop, which I'm not recommending. I crash a lot and get sick a lot. So this year I'm really trying to focus on balancing things out a little bit. So that was a really long answer. Basically, I just balance it all through sheer determination, and I definitely crash and burn sometimes. But the way I look at it is we do only have this one life on Earth, and I want to live the best life I can, and I really enjoy my day job. I love my mermaid stuff, and I'm 33, guys. I'm not going to be able to be a mermaid forever. I want to put as much into the community as I can that's going to live on long after my career when I retire and I'm just, wearing a mermaid tail for fun and running the behind the scenes, right? So it's important to me that I'm cultivating other parts of my life, like my day job, so that when I'm ready to take that step back, I can still, take care of myself and have a retirement fund. I have a retirement fund right now. It's so crazy. It blows my mind. So yeah, longest answer ever, but I hope that answered your question. Shauna wants to know, how do I choose the colors that I use for myself during gigs, my makeup, tails, accessories? Is there ever a client who wants a specific look for event? I've never had a client in like 10 years ask for a specific look. I know that Merman Jax has worked a few theme parties that were like different colors. I've never had that happen. I choose, basically I choose a tail based on how I'm feeling that day and the type of work that I'm gonna be doing. And then I base my look around that. I definitely love those earthy orange tones, as you can tell, but I like to surprise people once in a while with blue or purple. Jessica wants to know, what do you like so much about the splash colors? I think it's just that Splash was like the first realistic mermaid I'd ever seen. I was obsessed, and to me that was like the epitome of a beautiful mermaid. I liked it because it wasn't green and it wasn't this standard mermaid thing that we thought, and I thought it went really well with my complexion. A lot of the other colors make me look really pale and pasty, which even with the orange I still look that way. But I don't know, I've just always loved those colors. I mean, that's what I'm wearing today too. I've just always love those colors. Lou says, what do you do when people say they can only see kids putting on a mermaid tail, and aren't you a little old for that? A lot of us get told things like that. I only really heard that when I first started out. We've had tremendous success, like tremendous success, especially comparatively because there's not a lot of mermaid companies in Canada. I think it's a bit harder for people in the States because you can't throw a rock without hitting a mermaid. But we're like top dog here and still recognized internationally as one of the biggest mermaid companies. And I think with that clout, people stop saying that. Usually we only get those kind of comments now when we have articles that go viral. But like in Halifax, everybody knows who we are. We get stopped in the streets, we get stopped in the grocery store, we get stopped in the doctor's office, in the movie theaters, and restaurants. Like everybody knows us, which is really weird too sometimes, because like one time I had to see a specialist gynecologist and I had like done his daughter's birthday party and he was like trying to make small talk about mermaids while he was like giving me a pap smear, and it was like super awkward. Super awkward. Another time, right after Sean and I got our domestic partnership marriage, we were at the grocery store and I looked like crap and had like pimples all over my face and my hair was all up, and I was wearing pajamas because it was like literally midnight and we were going through the self-checkout, and this cute old lady came up to us and like shook our hands and congratulated us, and that was really sweet. Especially since our documentary came out, people feel like they know us, so that's really cool. Like they come up and they're like, oh my God, your teeth look amazing. Your dentist did such a great job. And I'm like, thank you, total stranger. So I feel like the best advice I can give you if you're being told things like that is just to keep pressing on, because your success will speak for itself. There's a Beyonce line from her Formation song that's like, the best revenge is your paper, and I think about that all the time. It's so true. Like your success is gonna outweigh everything. Just keep doing it. And whatever, like why do we look down on things that we view as childish? That is something that through my 2 degrees and the work that I do with Halifax Mermaids that I am always trying to challenge, is that being childish is not a bad thing. We need to get back to our roots of playing and imagination, because that is healthy for us. And the fact that we suppress it so much and we look down on it and we value other things above it are actually the cause of a lot of problems and mental health issues in our life. And if we can advocate to other adults that you're allowed to play, you're allowed to have fun, whether it's a Ren Fair or cosplay or LARPing or video games or role-playing D&D, whatever, you are allowed to play, okay? Playing is amazing. I should do a whole video rant about the power of play. I think I will actually, now that I'm saying this, because there's a lot of facts that I can use to back it up in studies. But just like, yes, just do it. Who cares what they say? You only get one life, Lou. Go be a mermaid. Who cares if they think you're childish? Just do it. You know, I'm pretty sure they probably do some childish things too. They just don't want to admit it. I know you've worked on your freediving and breath control. Are there any other goals or qualifications you would like to have for yourself or your pod? Is there a mermaid basic training? There is no standardization in the mermaid world, but I would like there to be. I would really like it. I know that there is a group, SSI or something like that, that is working on a mermaid training. I would like to see something like that be international and have certification, because I do feel like if you are going to be performing in these tails, you should meet minimum requirements at least for safety. And I do feel like if you're going to be teaching people, there needs to be a standard of competency, liability, safety understanding before you should teach people. So I'm really proactive at taking courses. I don't always have the opportunity. So for instance, I only got freediving certified 2 years ago because there was literally, on my side of this country, no opportunity to get freediving certified. In fact, the only way we got freediving certified was a group of 10 or so of us got together and said, like, we want to do this. We contacted a group in Montreal. We paid to fly them here and host them here and then run the workshops for the weekend to get everybody trained up, and we paid a phenomenal amount of money. It was worth it, but it was way more expensive than somebody who lives in a place with freediving. That led to me helping found the Halifax Freediving Club, which I'm on the board of directors for, and then we got more people trained to be instructors for freediving, so then we could keep doing courses. I really want to do my advanced freediving. The problem is my ears do not pop properly, and that's not going to change until I have some medical intervention. So I'm kind of advocating for myself to get this intervention so that I can do my advanced. I'm also looking into getting scuba certified, just trying to squirrel the money away. Not necessarily because I need it. I really don't. There's no reason for me in Nova Scotia to have it for my mermaid work, but I do feel like for my own personal goals, that's something that I like. I also am looking into my team and I actually formally being swim instructors. What we normally do when we run our mermaid school is we actually hire a swim instructor and they work with us and we collaborate on the content that the students are doing. And it's like a package that is delivered from a mermaid perspective and a swim instructor perspective because we each bring unique things to it. If we were to do mermaid school again, I would want everybody to have that training, so that's something I'm looking into as well. Just because I feel like it covers all our bases. I'm going to continue doing more water rescue training. We do mental health first aid and suicide intervention just because you never know when things like that are going to happen. Nonviolent crisis intervention is also a really great training to have because it's in scenarios. It's like self-defense, but when you can't hurt the person who's trying to hurt you, so that can happen a lot with kids, elderly, people with special needs, your clients, and it helps you get out of that without any issues. So that's what I'm working on. I'm almost at 3 minutes static for my breath hold, and I'm pretty good with that. I don't really feel like I need to go any further for the particular type of work that I do. Lindsay Jensen would like to know, how do I avoid irritating my eyes when I open them underwater? How do I avoid getting sand in them? How do you protect your eyes? What's the best way to get used to having them open and underwater? How much can you see underwater? Suggestions for people with sensitive eyes who are trying to learn. This is the thing that baffles me the most. Yeah, eyes are tricky. We can't really see anything. The only time I was ever able to really clearly see anything underwater was when I was in Rainbow River in Florida. The water was just so incredibly crystal clear that it was honestly like looking through glass. Usually we can't see anything. So when we're doing underwater photography, we always have some kind of a light and then we know where to turn and look. When I'm in the aquarium, I literally can't see unless I go right up to the glass. Like I can't, if someone's waving at me, I have no idea. That glass is so thick. Having your eyes open in fresh or salt water is way easier than having them open in chlorine. And even just trying to open them in a bathtub or something, there's too much chlorine in the water. There's too much oils from your skin and your hair, so that's still gonna hurt your eyes. There's really no way to get better at it than to do it. I find using eye gel before and after does soothe your eyes and make it easier. One of the big things I find is if you can have your hair kept completely out of your eyes. So I wear a wig and everything is held back, or you can have a circlet or clips or something, but just keep your hair from doing this, because your hair is what is going to drag all of that stuff into your eyes. Also, being careful not to disturb the bottom so that you don't get all that silt coming up. Mermaids aren't very good at that. We tend to just dive down and we're all haphazard and we're not paying attention to where our fins are going, and that's trudging up the bottom. So you have to kind of practice, and definitely if you're practicing, just wear goggles. Just wear goggles, okay? If you're in a pool doing a kids party, you don't really have to have your eyes open underwater. If you're training, you really don't have to have your eyes open underwater. You can wear goggles. Like, it's okay to wear goggles. It really is. Some people have even gotten creative and decorated their goggles, look like Elton John goggles is what I call them, and I think that's pretty cool. Really, you shouldn't be opening your eyes underwater unless you absolutely have to, and you should be babying your eyes before and after because you only have 2 of them and you want them to last for a long time. How did you start out and get to where you are? That is a whole video on itself, my darling, so we're gonna avoid that one for now. What and how did you market yourself? I would say the best way that I have marketed myself is having a social media presence, having those hashtags, and Postcards. I could do a whole video about postcards, but they work way better for me than business cards. Holy cow. People get postcards. They love that there's a picture on the front and the info on the back, and it's a big, beautiful picture. Like, pick one of your best pictures. Do not put any text on it. Just put the text on the back. Kids collect them. Clients collect them. They get put on people's fridge. People see them when they go to visit them. I can them out at every single gig to every single kid who comes up for a picture, every single adult. We get most of our gigs through postcards. I can tell you they cost like 2 cents each. You can get them made of recycled paper. Best investment ever. Go get some postcards. So that is a very long video. There's still more questions, so maybe we'll do a third video another time. But for this Q&A, that's all we're going to do. I messed up my hair. Thank you so much for checking out my videos. Please like and subscribe. Click the bell if you want to hear more. Check me out on social media. And please, please, please check me out on patreon.com/RainaMermaid. For $2 a month, you can get tons of content, and it seriously, seriously helps me provide this material for people. I've been able to upgrade our game with these videos. Better sound, better light, more backdrops. We can keep doing that. I would like to get to the point where I make enough money on Patreon where I can hire somebody to do professional video editing, so then I can just focus on content, give it to them, and they put it together. And I'll be able to do more that way, and it'll come across more professional. It'll be easier to follow, less rambling because they'll edit it. So you can check me out on Patreon to see all the goals I have for the money and how it's going to be spent. But definitely it's been a really wonderful tool because I have been putting out tons of content for 10 years for free, and I love doing it. And it's not even that I want to make money off it. I just want to break even because I invest a lot to do this, and I want to help mermaids, but it costs me a lot of money and time. So Patreon is a great way to thank me. $2 a month. It's so easy. It just adds up when you get lots of people. So thank you so much, my sea fans.